So returning to your story, Nicqui, there was this experience of loss, profound loss, and seeing the connection with mental health and suicide. But there was obviously a point of change where you realised that you needed to take some action.
Certainly, getting involved in becoming a mental health first aid instructor, for me, it was very different to any other instructor that they had actually qualified back then, because when Betty Kitchener founded this program, which is, over 20 years ago now, she herself was a mental health consumer as such. She suffered from anxiety and depression. And so she started writing this course for the general public.
This is the mental health...
The mental health first aid course. And but most of the people who had trained as instructors up until when I applied were actually working in health or mental health. They were in some way, shape or form qualified within health or mental health. But, the idea of this program was to take it to the general public. So here I was, a member of the general public without any qualifications in health or mental health, applying to become an instructor. So they actually gave me a lot more chores and a lot more assignments to do to actually even apply. And, it was very interesting to do, but I did recognise that all my life I had always had an interest in mental health anyway. It had just never factored as big, but, losing my friend and wanting to know what I'd missed, was the thing that really led me down that track. And I think that the death of someone close to you can often be a catalyst for change in your life. And, it made me really stand still, take a look at myself, take a look at my friendship and relationship with my friend who had died, and think, what the hell? What do I do from here? And, I wanted to be able to make her death have some kind of purpose, and I do believe that, although I miss her every day, there's not a day that I don't think about her. There also isn't a day where I am not grateful for the track that led me down, because, it's made a difference to not only my life, but a lot of other people along the way.
Nicqui, I would love to hear the little story with Richard Branson and the unusual, portentous timing of that story too.
I don't think that there's a bigger game changer in the world, to be honest, than Richard Branson. When you look at what he has done and how he inspires people on environmental levels and, looking at, future potential for the planet, but also the war on drugs, many things. He's a rather extraordinary man. And, I was lucky enough many years ago now, it was over a dozen years ago, that for a period of a couple of weeks, I literally walked around corners and just kept running into him. I literally walked around a corner and we smacked bang into each other, and that was how we initially first met. And then, a few days later, I took my little one Lily over to have a surf a boogie board at Watergoes, and we were the only people there, Richard Branson and my daughter Lily. He was on a blow up redback, and she was on a hard boogie board, and they were going wave for wave, and of course Lily was going all the way in, and Richard was getting halfway and falling off and standing up and just laughing with that big smile of his. And so after a couple of weeks of just running into him, I get this phone call, and it's a mutual friend of ours saying, would you like to come and have dinner with Richard Branson tonight? So I did, and we ended up, we had an early dinner. It was beginning of the week, and then we went to a few different places afterwards and ended up, not parting company until the very wee smalls of the morning. But one of the things that really impressed me that night is that, there was an English football game or something like that going on, and there were a lot of tourists in town who had flag tattoos all over their faces and whatnot, and every single British person that we came across that night, no matter where we were, wanted to stop and have a moment with Richard Branson, tell him a story, have a photo. So, all night long, every other minute, there's someone that he's having a chat with, and, someone sitting on his knee or next to him and smiling for a photo and a selfie, and little stories were getting exchanged. And one of the stories was there was a young fellow who used to be a waiter at one of the restaurants that we were at that night. And as it also turned out, this same waiter had worked for Richard Branson in the UK at a place called the Palladium, and when he was just in his teens. And so, you know, he said, Richard, I used to work for you, blah, blah, blah. And Richard goes, oh, yeah, you worked with Debbie. But, you know, just the way that he exchanged these moments and stories with people throughout the night, his grace is incredible, like his presence of grace. I've never met anyone like that. And at the end of the night, I said to him, Richard, how do you do that? How do you know, a man as busy as you are with so many things that you do, how is it that you know, give the way that you give that moment, you know, with anyone who just wants to share something with you? And he said, well, that's it. He said, it is just a moment for me. He said, and it's actually those people wanting to give me a gift in telling me a story or share a moment with me. And he said that, you know, sometimes those moments will then stay with me for the rest of my life. And I know that sounds like something very small, but I kept hearing that. And a couple of months later, when my girlfriend died, and, you know, everywhere I went for the coming months after that, I couldn't even go into the supermarket to get 3 items without not being able to leave for 3 hours, because every other person was stopping me because they wanted to tell me something about her death. And these were, a lot of them were complete strangers who, you know, would stop me and say things like, I don't know you, I didn't know your friend, but I used to see you together all of the time, and I just wanted to tell you how sorry I am. And, you know, some of these people were breaking into tears, and, you know, so I found myself, it just felt like I had Richard Branson on my shoulder, whispering those words in my ears and reminding me that, you know, here's a moment that someone else needs. It's my moment of time to give, but in allowing that, it also gives me something, because I get to share their stories and I get to keep those stories as well. And, you know, all these years later, I'm still hanging on to those stories. I still own them, and they're precious. And, you know, it was just a small thing, but it really made a big difference in my life. And it is about having and holding a moment in grace, for not just for yourself but for someone else as well.
Is there anything that, to anyone listening who may want to volunteer or maybe just want to speak up for something even in their own personal lives, but doing those things does require stopping, reassessing and swimming the other way? Do you have anything that might assist the listener who might be wanting to make that sort of change in their life?
There is this sort of thing, you remember, you know, about feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And to be honest, you know, I think, you know, we all have things that make us tick and things that make us stick. And, you know, one of the things that I always felt about volunteering when I first started, and I was volunteering many years ago. I was doing other forms of volunteering, but, you know, I always felt that I felt better when I was volunteering. You know, I would go away from, you know, however many hours or days of whatever I was doing, and I felt good. You know, I felt like I'd done something that was worth doing. But, you know, over the years, over the last 10 years or so, I regularly get people come up to me and say, oh, you know, like I feel like I want to do something, or I feel like I want to give more to my community or be more involved, and I just don't know what I could do. And so I say to them, well, what are you passionate about? What do you feel strongly about? What do you feel might be missing that you might be able to give to? You know, are you interested in young people? Are you interested in, you know, mental health? Are you interested in, you know, even gardening? You know, there is so many opportunities out there to actually go and give your time within the community. But I think it's about looking inside yourself and finding something that you feel passionate about, and then looking for, you know, where you can put that passion into place. And look, you don't have to have any experience, you don't have to have any qualifications. You know, most of the volunteering roles in the community out there are, you know, pretty basic kind of things. But if you do have skills, all the better. But the interesting thing is you often learn skills through your volunteering roles as well. And another thing that they do is they connect you with other people. And, you know, if there's something that interests you and you're going along and volunteering there, the other people who are there, they've got the same interests.
Yes.
So all of a sudden your friendships expand, your horizons expand, and I think in that way it does give you a voice as well. Volunteering is so good for your mental health. Like if you want to feel better about yourself, there's just nothing like going and doing some serious hard yakka. You know, look, recently I went and did I joined in a search for someone who was missing. I spent a whole day out there in the bush, and I've got to say at the end of it, you know, I personally felt, wow, that was a full-on day, but it was also physically a good thing to do and emotionally a good thing to do, and I was very grateful that the outcome was a good positive one. But, you know, it's just about being a part of a bigger thing.
Thank you so much, Nicqui.
Thanks so much for having me, Sally.
We'd love to hear from you, our listeners. Please drop us a line at hello@pbbmedia.org. Tell us what this story has brought up for you. Do you have a story to share? Are there topics you'd like us to cover? Please let us know of any more show ideas at hello@pbbmedia.org or visit us on Facebook at Pregnancy, Birth and Beyond Media.